It is time to experience a different radio station in digital broadcasting. WKIT. Pyramid One World Radio Network with broadcaster Bob Charles. Our programming is based on truth, faith, and love. We have studios in Florida, Texas, and Australia. So let's begin into subjects that change our perceptions about the world around you and I.
Pyramid One World Radio with you host Bob Charles. Let me tell you about a show called A View of Humanity, a show that empowers listeners all over the world. Let me tell you about Jamie Clark. Jamie Clark has discovered and honed his gift of psychic intuition and will indeed offer guidance to individuals seeking love, prosperity, and happiness in their lives. Here's how Jamie might help someone on such a path. Insight into relationships. Jamie could provide insights into romantic relationships, helping individuals understand their desires, fears, and patterns in love. By tapping into their intuitive abilities, Jamie might offer guidance on finding compatible partners, navigating relationship challenges, or healing from past traumas. Financial guidance. Jamie may use their intuitive gifts to offer insights into financial matters and prosperity. This could involve identifying opportunities for career advancement, business success, or wise investments. Jamie might also help individuals uncover and release any subconscious blocks or limiting beliefs around money and abundance. Emotion. Release negative emotions, cultivate self-love, and embrace a more joyful and fulfilling life. Spiritual growth. Jamie may guide individuals on a journey of spiritual growth and self-discovery. This could involve helping them connect with their inner wisdom, deepen their spiritual practices, or explore their life's purpose. Jamie might also provide insights into spiritual lessons or challenges they may encounter along the way. Empowerment and self-discovery. Jamie's goal would be to empower individuals to take charge of their own lives and destinies. Through their psychic intuition, Jamie could help clients tap into their inner strength, intuition, and resilience, guiding them towards making choices that align with their highest good and bring them closer to love, prosperity, and happiness. It's important to note that while psychic intuition can offer valuable insights and guidance, individuals are ultimately responsible for their own choices and actions. Jamie's role would be to provide support, clarity, and inspiration as individuals embark on a journey towards a more fulfilling and joyful life. Let's welcome Jamie Clark.
I love that, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you're used to all of that for so many years.
Right here. Right here.
Oh, God, that's fantastic. You know, and great intro with that, because it is that dynamic that I consider as a psychic a quantum road sign of potential. If I can share real quick, because I share the fact that every time I merge with the oneness, I don't have all of the human regrets that we have to make life choices and we got to learn to live with them one way or another. And I coulda, shoulda, woulda. And after years, I asked my master guide, Chi, I'm like, Chi, how is it that when I merge with the oneness, I don't have all of these regrets and I feel so full and complete? And his response is, well, Jamie, on a quantum level, all experiences are happening now. All potential outcomes are happening now. Your soul print of consciousness is connected to each and every one of those alternate realities. And just because you're not aware of it does not mean it's not being registered into your Solodex or Akashic records, whatever you want to label it, as an eternal soul print of consciousness. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense, because for me, as an eternal being, good, bad, happy, sad, however we perceive our realities, I'm completely loved and accepted right where I am. And to feel the fullness where there are no choices that I felt I should have done one way or another or any of that, I just have to be me. That's huge. A lot of people, that's too easy for them. Is it really too easy? Good, let it be too easy. It's that connection that a lot more people over the past few years are starting to wake up. They're starting to open up to their spiritual psychic gifts. And the old school is, you know, a lot of people will tend to fear that psychic stuff is going to take over their life. And I share the fact that that is not going to happen. The more that you can work with your abilities, those gut feelings, the more the effect of reading energy of that particular person, experience, or circumstance. I'm kind of going off into a left field, but I feel like I'm needing to cover that aspect there. That one, as I always say, everybody is a psychic medium. If you've got a soul, you're a psychic medium, truly. It's the gift that few choose and everyone has. So if we can get people to start empowering themselves, and that fearfulness of going down that rabbit hole of the fear, a lot of people are starting to, you know, wake up. And for some reason, the negative energy as we perceive it is very sloppy vibration. So it tends to get people's attention. So a lot of times when they start opening up to read energy, they'll be like, if that's all I'm going to see is the negative, then I don't want to do this. Blump, blump, blump. And I'll share with the person going, you do realize what you're saying, right? You control your abilities. Your abilities do not control you, or you wouldn't be able to turn the volume down. You never turn it off, because if you're a soul, you're already there. You just turn the volume down so it doesn't become too distracting. The universe is talking to everyone and with everyone. It's, are we listening, and what level do we want to take it to? What can we fit into our life of consciousness?
You touched on one. Fear. And I told someone, I said, fear is when you quit. I said,
About
if you are, wait a minute, if you take fear, the thing that you're scared of, think to yourself and make it logical. What are you afraid of and why? I said, it can happen in a second. It doesn't take a long time or anything else. If there was a guy outside, say, I don't know, with a baseball bat. He's going to come in. He's going to beat you up with a baseball bat. But you know the guy's got a baseball bat. But now all of a sudden you're very, very afraid because the guy's knocking on the door. So what are you afraid of? You're not afraid of the guy with the baseball bat. You're afraid of the door opening. There's different.
See, that's the fear factor. What's on the other side of that door?
Exactly. But there's different types of fear. We're all afraid. For instance, and I'll take this from another upcoming show. Fear that we fear our government is going to do things to us. Okay, let's look at the other way around. Why couldn't we do something to help ourselves? We do it. We have a right to do it. We can do it. What is it called? Is it called sense, oneness with yourself, and voting? You have to realize right in that order, if you realize that you can make a difference. You, just you. That's the oneness. You. And when you do that and you go and you vote for yourself. You're not voting for everybody else. How do you feel?
How
And
does it
why?
benefit? Yes, exactly.
And why? And how is it going to benefit for you? When was the last time that anybody from any government called you up on the phone like, here, I'll give you an example. Hi there. We just wanted to talk to you about you have a better job, and now we're going to give you $1,000 a week for the rest of your life. I mean, why not? Did they call you? No. Why did they not call you? Because you didn't ask for the phone call. Ha!
Yeah. And it's interesting, but it's just the way that we see things. For the fear aspect, people would transcribe it as false evidence appearing real. And
Mhm.
my thing is what if it can spell feeling excited and ready?
Mhm.
Just a label. That's the point, man. I'm going to create, for me, I'm going to create my whole new reality. Others can perceive it however they want. That's great. It's whatever works for them. I find myself within that life within me. I bring it to the surface of consciousness, and I live more than just exist or survive. And I think that people need to know that these psychic gifts, these spiritual gifts, are what everyone has. And do they even want to work with it? Because as we talk, I think like I do, there's a lot of people that when they say it like this: I feel happy or I feel angry. They don't go, I happy. Those feelings are different than emotions. A lot of people tend to fear that because they're afraid that they're going to get too emotional. And for me, as I always share, that the emotions and feelings are different. Emotions are happy and sad. Feelings are grasping in a spiritual, symbolic way, grasping concepts of that. So when you feel that, it is an acknowledgement of a particular emotion, circumstance, potential upcoming event. I get that gut feeling, doesn't feel right, or it feels good. That it's a very common practical way of reading energy. That gut feeling is usually very accurate because with our thinking, we can talk ourselves out of anything. You'll never fool yourself with how it feels.
That's why I always say, and I mean, the people I talk to and the people I meet. Oh God, it's like
That's
I'm
what they
I'm
say when you're coming.
I'm I'm in a place where there's 500 people walking around all the time. So I mean, it's like, and I know just about everybody because I'm that crazy guy that's on the
Yeah,
radio
that's
in this
awesome.
place. So hey, but it's you talk to these people and you say to them like, how do you feel today? They go, well, I said, do you feel with your feelings, with your gut, with your mind, or with your hands? And they're like, they're all laughing their hands off. And I said, no, I said, but really, I said, realize what really great feeling is. I said, you're out here, right? You're talking to me. You're walking. You're taking a nice walk. That's nice, blue sky, sun, warm, the whole 9 yards. I says, and you say you don't know how you feel. I said, I know how you feel. How come you don't know how you feel?
A lot of people may not want to activate that.
Yeah.
If they act, that's my responsibility. It's like, well,
Hmm.
life experience is our own individualized life experience of individuality. But it's in that what do we find as a connection for our regular human life and our spiritual life? And being able to fit these dynamics in and spirituality into our life in some way, for me, as I always say, is a good thing, because if you can't fit that stuff in, you start feeling like a nut job and an outsider to go, it's a beautiful day, and you don't feel like you can share with anybody. But I've also learned for myself that, because when I've been younger, they would ask me, what do you do? And I'd be like, I'm a psychic medium.
Yeah, right.
So, right, yeah. When I meet them for the first time, if they ask me, well, what do I do? Well, my sharing is I'm a consultant. I'm genuine. I'm not misleading.
No,
I
no,
am
you're not.
genuine. And it's that connection that I let them to get to know me first. And then, hey, this is what I do. This is some of the different capacities that I work within. Because using this psychic abilities are also what's helping us with the scientific studies at the University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona. And it is going to be amazing. I cannot talk about the technology of what we're doing at the moment, but I will tell you the day's coming when we're going to be able to talk with our loved ones.
Did you see, you're talking about that. I know what you're talking about, but the guy with the chip in his head that plays chess on the computer using his mind through a chip.
Is that recent? Apparently.
Yeah, Musk, what's his, Mr. SpaceX over there.
Oh,
He was the one that came up with that idea, the chip, and the first guy that ever got it, and that there's only one guy that has it, obviously. The thing they had it on TV, it actually works. Yeah, I mean,
it's all about
moving the pieces
presentation
on the board.
Right. Not only that, what if they're presenting it to where it can also help with neuromuscular things? It can help with other functions.
Yep.
It's all about presentation.
Yep. That's another thing that it's going to do.
Well, that touches people's souls. They're like, oh my God, wow, yes.
Wait a minute. People that have that thing that with the the nerves or something like that in the back or something that you're like paralyzed from the waist down or something. This thing can actually through the brain fix it.
Look, but what does that tell you? Our brain has that kind of power to do it. Our soul is what animates the computer of the brain.
Our brain can beat out any computer anywhere in this whole world.
And yet,
just a what do they call them? Synopsis.
Yeah.
And things, and well, they're near nerve ends and things that transfer information and everything. Wow. There's a billion of them up there. There's not a billion of them in a computer. It would take miles of computers to come close. Our problem, we're just dumb. Excuse the expression. We really are. We don't use our brains like you do for what you do. What I do when I write or whatever, I'm using it. These are parts that are, they're sitting out there with dust, and somebody like me came by and went, hey, get this dust out of here, And then you start thinking and you go, oh, well, that's pretty good. Let me shine this up a little bit. And then you get another thought. And it keeps going and going and going. Not because it's not there or because you're dumb. It's because you just haven't learned to use it, to use what you have already, and to concentrate on it. And hypothetically, anyway, it's a laser beam, to that area of the mind. Mm-hmm. You are looking for answers. The brain answers. That is.
Where is the information coming from, though? That's the connection of building upon itself for the AI type of stuff.
AI, really, I mean, everybody keeps talking about AI as being a bad thing. If it's used correctly, it's not a bad thing because it's the embodiment or whatever of every piece of information you could possibly think of in the whole world is in a place or in computers or whatever. And the AI has a program that just goes through, and if you ask a question, it'll go through 12 billion things to give you the right answer based on what somebody else times a million has asked the same question. But they do it in milliseconds.
Yeah. Which humans are the ones who are creating all of these different chips and things like that. Isn't it interesting that we're building technology to help us build a better us? It's like we already have it. It's like, but it's also the way of perpetuated patterns. So again, just my own experience. That's all I can speak about. But there was a time many years ago where I was on my way. I used to work at a place in Arizona called Marriott Camelback Inn. It's a decent place. Anyhow, I was doing the supervisory in the banquet area, and we had President Bush and Barbara and some other people. And we had the 7 Secret Service people who would always keep circling around. And that evening was a dinner presentation. I said a few things to their people that I shouldn't have said. And they're like, no, there's no ETs. There's nothing, whatever. Okay. I'm like, no, I'm sure I'm wrong. Yeah. And so anyhow, the next day, it's morning time. I'm coming down Lincoln Drive is where it turns into. And just before we are getting to the freeway area, this white truck is going down the yellow center lane, like about 80 miles an hour. And I'm like, what the frig is that?
Yeah, really.
That's a little scary. And so it zoomed by me, and I looked in my mirror, and I heard these brakes and smoke. And it's a white pickup truck. It comes around, cuts me off, and I'm like, frick that. So I went around that person in the truck, pulled off to the side just before you would get onto the freeway area, the access, and gets out of his truck. I got out of my truck immediately. No, I don't frickin' sit there and wait.
Yeah, right.
And so he's looking at me just as like a regular person. Go, what? You pissed because I didn't call before I came, cop? I'm like, I think you've got the wrong person. And so anyhow, as this is happening, we're both out of our vehicles at a stoplight. There's traffic. Nobody was looking at us. I'm like, are you freaking kidding? There's people out of their vehicles in the street. And it was very weird because this guy, I don't know who he is, but he gets down in the street on all fours and starts to undulate like this. And I'm like, what the frig is that? And so he gets up, and it's like he has a snap connection to reality again, and looks at me and goes back to his truck and leaves. I'm like, that mind control stuff is very real. And they wouldn't even know what they did. That's the scary part. I can only speak from my firsthand experience, but I will tell you that rocked my world, because I'm like, how the frick is that possible that nobody in their vehicles is looking at us, 2 people in the frickin' street? It was just so weird the way that it happened. And I never saw the guy again, but it was also, that's how quickly things can change.
You know what I was going to say? Good thing you weren't in New York. They would have stole anything you had on.
But it's that connection that
plus the tires on your cars. So
that's the scary thing is it could have happened in any way. He could have had a gun, whatever. So that's why I got out of my vehicle. I don't chance that at all. Anyhow, as I'm standing there and he starts talking to me like I was just sharing, and then gets down on all fours, I'm like, this is so freaking weird. It sounds freaking weird. And again, I kept looking at the people in their vehicles, and the ones that I could see were sitting there like it was just a regular day, listening to their music. And okay, I'm like, hello, McFly.
Yeah, really.
It was a very weird experience. Anyhow, for me to have that firsthand experience where it was possibly a runner that was sent to me because I was opening my big mouth to some of the other people that were working in their capacities, they go, oh, really? Well, let's shut that down real quick. And I'm like, really? You want to play? We'll play. And I've had some people send runners to me, some organizations and groups and stuff. They don't seem to mess with me.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, it's not, well, but you can read through me anyway. But
You're
you know, the thing is, yeah, but I mean, it's I don't know. I think, you know, the more and more I look at what's going on around us, and somebody was just talking about this too the other day, and that's the only reason I bring this up, because I'm thinking about what she said. But, you know, when we were kids, right? Now you're only 50.
Yeah,
okay?
I'll be 59 in a couple of months.
I got 59.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're in your 50s.
I'm up there.
Yeah. I mean, in a couple of weeks, I'll be 73.
Yeah, so you look great, man.
And yeah, but then rock and roll, jumping up and down on stages and everything else, and that, and sticking my tongue out and singing and holding up, forget it. I mean, seriously. I mean, and no drugs.
But look at how you lived. You didn't just exist and survive. You lived, and apparently didn't have to have all the drugs and all that stuff to stimulate you in that capacity.
Somebody said the other day, they said, all right, so you played music and everything else, and that, about playing in the bars and everything else. I said, yeah, but you're leaving out something. She goes, well, what am I leaving out? I said, 47 states. She said, well, what do you mean by that? I says, bars in 47 states. I said, they
And
weren't
what
just
about the rippling
bars.
effect?
They weren't just bars or coliseums or, whatever. You had like all kinds of people around. The one that we did in, the Japan thing. You're talking 50,000 people you're looking at
Wow.
at the same time. I mean, it's like, you want to talk about fear?
I bet that must be exciting though too.
You
What
feel
a
absolutely,
rush.
I'm serious, you feel absolutely nothing until the lights slowly come up. All of a sudden, all you see is eyes and teeth for a mile and a half, And
Wow.
it's like, whoa. But here's we played so much, so many places, recorded the whole 9 yards. We did so many of those things that once that wave goes through you, now it goes the other way. You own them. You know what I mean? It's the confidence part.
And the emotional connection to that. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because as the fear goes through, the fear has a logical feeling. If you that way,
is excitement without the breath.
Exactly. And all of a sudden it comes backwards the other way and says, you're mine.
And they open up to that. That's the point, when they can feel safe and invigorated and sometimes understood just by the lyrics of what you're writing. Like, I feel like that's speaking to me. It's because it is. All they had to do was tune in and let it speak to them. Let them feel what it feels like to be in that capacity. But sometimes people get numb to it and they don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling. Whatever. I don't know. Like, oh, okay. Well, from not knowing, apparently you know something.
Yeah, well, I tell you something about that incident. Right now, anybody that's listening to this tape right now, you want a copy of what I have on a song, that just the voice and then a little bit of keys. The voice was the only thing that you could have heard, period, anywhere in the entire place with absolutely nobody breathing. It was just my voice, period. And then I had what they call a Casio CZ101, small, like I don't know, maybe 3 feet long or something. It's like a synthesizer kind of thing. It was right next to me where I was. I started playing the keyboard as I'm singing. Just me. One light straight down. Me, period. And then of course the rest of the song and it goes off. But I mean that was an opening that was, I mean,
how did that feel with that kind of focus on you by the creative excitement that you're sharing?
You don't feel it.
Wow.
You don't. You get to the point where you've gone through every kind of bar you could possibly think of. You've gone through every kind of anything you could go through, including studios and things like that. And when it goes to doing something in front of all those people, the amount of people don't matter. It's making them happy. That's what matters.
Notice the individualized appreciation. Even though they're in a crowd, each one is getting their own connection to that. That's beautiful.
Everyone was totally isolated to themselves. You could look, and
you're around everyone, yet.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Especially, and you could walk out to the edge. I mean, I could look out. We had security at that time. I mean, they were right in front of the stage, but you could walk right out to the edge and look right down at people and look at all the faces and see the smiles. Some people didn't like the song. I mean, look, you'd see somebody that didn't like the song. So what? Okay, you don't like it, but the 50,000 behind you do. It's like one of those kind of things. You don't feel, it's not, and so many people that say that you act, when people get to that point, you act like you're better than everybody else. No, I never, ever, ever felt that way. I was just one of these kind of people that like, hey, I've been doing this since I'm 2. It's like big deal.
That's
if you like it, if I can make you happy, I'll do it. A priest in my parish when I was a kid, I was one of the first guitar players and singers. Nobody had guitars nowhere, and they had it. They let me do it in the church. I was an altar boy too. We did it. I did it from where the organ player was, and there were certain parts that I would do on the guitar and the singing. And a lot of people got up and walked. It was a guitar in the church, out of there, you know. The priest turned around, and this is going back. I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody else is gonna hear this too at the same time. I mean, I had this thought in my mind that maybe I could be a priest. So, and my boss down there, I mean, he's a Monsignor, so what the way, hey, yo, Father. So it's one of these things. And he said to me, he said, being yourself, you make more people happy and feel good than I do standing on that stage for 45 minutes. He said, I can say anything. All I do is instill a little self-intelligence in themselves to change their lives if they have some kind of a problem. He said, you, on the other hand, you release everything, all their cares, all their bad things, all their bad stuff.
And they let it go, their own choice. Yes.
Right. He said, so don't be a priest because you won't do what you do now. He says, I like what you're doing. So I was
That's
like, okay.
Beautiful. And you find your own spiritual way of connecting with people. Mm-hmm. That's the point. Even from a kid, I'm like, I didn't know they had guitars back then. I'm kidding.
Hey, how many times do you walk up to somebody and see somebody that looks bad, or somebody that's talking to you and you can hear their voice is not right or something, and you turn around to them and just say, talk to me. I mean, really, seriously. I mean, you just come out and say, talk to me. Everybody's listening to this tape right now. All you have to do is go to someone, preferably somebody you know, and if they're talking about something or they have any kind of trouble or something like that, tell them, talk to me. Most people will tell you a piece of what's wrong and forget the big piece.
But see, I'm seeing so much more of that they're starting to open up to their own connection. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean that's just the whole thing, and it's what you do and what I do, and what I get.
And I'm very honored and humbled and thankful. People do feel very comfortable with me, and this will be a person that I've never met before that I'm aware of, and they'll start opening up, going, Jamie, I've never ever said this to anyone before. Right. And they're looking at you going, you judging me, boy? Your eye twitching? And I'm like, and I'm sure I've done that in many other lifetimes. Mm-hmm. And I love it when they're able to open up because they start building upon that open receptivity of expansion to go, I feel lighter. I'm like, great, you get the credit. You're the one who's doing it.
I mean, in a case like that, and again, for the people that are listening, when you do give an answer to someone asking that question, like, what's up? One of those things, you'll turn around and all of a sudden the conversation will become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Change the energy. Yes.
Because you're going from black and white conversation to color.
And the versatility of those. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah. And I think being able to share, being able to talk with people, not just to them, because a lot of us, we want to make sure that we're not just a number or a product or a service, and I do count. And I think a contributing factor of the people that love you and your talents is, I always say, how you're going to stand out? Do you. And the passion. Whatever it is that you are passionate for, that is what speaks to people. They will feel that connection. And that's when they start to open themselves up to these, in this case, the music that allows them to saunter through their soulscape to go, wow, that's making me feel good, or that's triggering me because I'm starting to think about this. And it could be the same song, yet affect people differently because there's a different way of understanding or connecting with that particular piece of information or music.
Well, you get people even that I get the grace of talking to. These kids, these are kids. These are like 20s, early 20s. One of those kind of things. I mean, I could be their father twice.
I think you have that.
Maybe 3 times. Who your mama? No. but on the other hand, I try to, or don't even try to. I mean, it's natural in me anyway. I mean, I'm on their wavelength. I have to look for it first, but
But you
then I'm
find
on it.
it.
And once I'm on it, those people are talking to me just like they're talking to their other friends. And I tell
And they
them all
can
the
feel
time,
that genuine sincerity.
exactly. And I tell them all the time, you can talk to anyone. Age has nothing to do with the conversation. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I said, as long as all the marbles are there, you're fine. Biden, you wouldn't talk to too long, but anybody else, you never know. But I'm saying though, it's like, and they're like, yeah, but you're different. I said, yeah, you asked me when one home. I said, she'll tell you I'm an alien. But I mean, seriously. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, all of us are aliens.
It's a very relative term. I am right there with you. I agree. As
Yeah,
humans, right, we're ETs to everyone else.
exactly,
Woo!
exactly. And that's the good part of it. I mean, the people that you talk to, for instance, when when you give them a little taste of their own lives back to them.
Without judgment, without
Exactly.
condemnation.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's a reflection of consciousness to go, okay, I feel like you're talking with me, not just to me. And I feel like I do matter. And I'm like, because you do. That's the point. And I love that because people will give themselves the okay to start living, not just existing and surviving that wears us down and tires us out. And it's people like you from a young age that you were just about expressing yourself. All
Mm.
that was beautiful aspects within. You just needed to get other people to open up to it. And apparently you did. And the very essence of your soul that you've always been as a child in this case, keep it simple, man, that's the point. But
Mm.
it brings people with the simplicity of life experience. They're not having to go, did that mean? And it's like, oh, got it. They'll be able to find their own wavelength of strength or information about that aspect. And a lot of times they have a good idea where to place that particular energy because it's not easy when you're not able to necessarily feel like you can heal yourself. So,
It's also how we're raised, where we came from.
yep,
I mean, my mother was a singer. Ha. Hence, so that's why I was singing it too.
that's
But
beautiful.
I mean, it's just like your mother,
Yep.
everything else in that same thing. She
Singer,
was a
dancer,
psychic,
actress,
right?
all that. Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
yeah. Oh,
yep,
yeah.
yep. And my mother was that kind of person. I wound up on stages. I did Broadway. I sang in choruses. I
How
was
did you like
musician.
Broadway? How
Huh?
was that? How did you like Broadway?
Did you? I don't know.
Because it's always presented in a different way, but that's why I was curious to go, how did it
Depends
vibe with
upon
you?
yeah, but it depends on who you're there with. Like who the director is, who the assistants are. I mean, there's a lot of political stuff.
But when you
Even if
can use your abilities to read energy, you start understanding more effectively where that
oh
person
yeah,
is at. And they're like, I feel like you're talking to me. I'm like, yeah, because we are. It's a conversation. I'm actually talking with you. And they're like, this feels good. I'm like, awesome. And it's my honor to be able to listen to you as well.
well we
And we,
did summer stuff there. I mean, it was the older plays. The Apple Tree was one of
oh,
them.
wow. Beautiful.
Mame was the other one. I was the cousin.
Right.
Mame. So I mean, it was I was the boy guy.
Name to fame.
Yeah. So I mean, those type of shows in it. There were older shows that were forget about it. They were so good. I mean, they were written so good, and everybody that was there, was really cool, except for the nude women that would come through the dressing room. But I mean, it was crazy. I mean,
Bummer.
we had a lot of people who, as I said, it was very very businesslike, except on the stage. On the stage, we were in our own world.
And stood out for it too. Most people don't see behind the scenes. They
Right.
only see the presentation. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Once you're on stage, the rest of the world don't count. You're in your own bubble.
You got that
That's
focus
what that's what
point.
you do.
Yes.
So
And
that
that's where you bring them in for that ride.
uh
That's where they feel that emotional connection.
and it
That's
went from
beautiful.
and it went from that and it went into the music and the bands and all the bands that I had. I got pictures of me in all kinds of bands. But I mean, it's it's one of these things where you just know. You just know. I mean, it's funny I say it that way, but that's what it is. You just
Yeah, just know something without
go,
knowing
and
how
you
you
just
know it. You
know.
just know it. Yes. It's
Yeah,
called claircognizance, the ability to know something without how you know it. You just know it. Yep. Direct soul communication. It's
exactly.
excellent.
And when you're reading someone, and that's what you're looking at.
Oh,
You're
and more.
looking,
Yeah.
you're looking at that person, not through that person.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
To
And
say
then
that,
we need to be able to reach through that person as well, because depending on what you're doing, if it's remote viewing or whatever, then you can be able to target other people that that person is connected to, because anyone you connect with is a vibrational pattern in your energy field. That is all I do is pick up the energy vibrations of consciousness. Some people will come to me, what about this or what about that? And I'll give them, just an energy read. And it's a really great aspect because I'm pretty good at what I do. So not only do I help each person one-on-one, but I am an energy reader for large corporations that, hey, are they going to work? Is this going to work? And thankfully, I'm usually very accurate. And on some of these corporations, 3 to 4 months of training is about $65,000. And they're saving that. And they're like, well, who can this work with? And I'll be able to give them an energy vibe of, well, if you put these two together, they'll be able to create this and this kind of connection. And they're like, all right, let's try it. Because again, they're not going to listen to you if there's no accuracy. Like, really, you just throwing that cheesy stuff out there. Like, man, I'm always honored and humbled. That's why I always push their buttons to go, man, anything and everything I do, everyone can do. Do you want to use it, and what level do you want to take it to? And with your ability to kind of have those gut feelings, did you use that ability when you were connecting with other bands, other players?
Hmm. See, I don't know. The band was always mine, so we would, we did play with other bands and
Right.
things. But most of the bands at that time were, let's put it this way, we were real, and they were players. They
Mhm.
were, like, oh, I'm the same as this one on 102.5, whatever FM or whatever. And I used to go, wait a minute, hold it, whoa, time. It's like we're all here. We're all here to do a job. I said we're actually our band was 50% originals
Cool.
that we did, stuff that we wrote.
Yeah.
But the other half was things that other bands had done. We did YouTube, like YouTube. We did the call the songs. What the hell's oh, the police songs.
Okay.
But we used to do their songs just like you would put the record on the on the record. One of those kind of things.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people I had in my band.
Excellent.
And of course, the singing was like, but don't forget, I'm singing like maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different other singers in other bands. So you have to be that person when you're doing it. We did Who. I mean, forget it about it. It was so good. We
Okay.
did Rolling Stones. I mean, my bass player and I were
Wow.
singers together and everything, and he did a lot of Jagger stuff. But
Fantastic.
it was just that kind of band. People used to, we used to let them actually. What song do you want?
See,
I carried music around with us. I had at any one time maybe 600, 700 songs. So
wow.
somebody in the audience, and I turned around and said, "Well, why don't you do this song?"
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then, we'll go on break. We'll come back and do the song. And we
Wow.
went somewhere, whipped out the music in there somewhere, looked at the music, and yeah, it's no big deal. And that write down the card, what cards with the words on it if we had to,
Right. Yes, sir.
and make it perfect every time. Well, that sometimes you goof up a little bit, but still, real close. And nobody that was in front of you even knew you goofed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. They don't know behind the scenes, man. Oh, that's part of the presentation. Yep.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And we did. There was a couple of songs, especially My Way in it. That was one that I used to walk right off the stage onto somebody's table. that was
Wow.
that was that was that was in Vermont, man. It was like the best I think I ever did that song in my whole life. I mean, it was great. Those people were like just the whole room had their mouths open. I had a radio mic, At that time, radio mics weren't even radio mics at that time. And I found that at Giant Stadium in New Jersey after the Stones had been there, and somebody left the microphone there in the place. And it was all wrapped up in all the stuff that was going to go in the garbage. I said, give me this. So I took that thing. So I had that mic. And then before any other band had radio mics.
Wouldn't it be interesting if you were starting to pick up on the vibrational patterns of whoever was connected to that mic, who may have sang through it and unified conscious vibrations? Yeah, something like that. Because again, with your abilities and your talent to write, did you have to put yourself in any kind of a state of mind to be receptive? Did it just drop in and you're able to go with it? How does that work for you, and how does it work?
You put yourself into the music and the words, not so much the person, because you are who you are.
You want to tell that story.
No matter what you do, no matter how many shells you think you're going to jump into, it ain't going to work. I mean, it's like when I sing My Way. My Way was a combination between Elvis and Sinatra.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
That's how I used to mix that song up. At the end of the song, I mean, the voice was like, we're talking high notes. I mean, like, but it'd be like for, God, a good 30 to 40 seconds.
Wow.
Just hold it and just stay there. Everybody would be like,
yeah, I bet, man.
It was so great. It was so cool. But that's the kind of stuff that we did. We were well, some people called us, or one paper called us, an impact band, because we impact people. We actually, literally, people would come out and like, wow, that's the way they would come out of one of our.
It's just the music. All you're doing is being you, but look at how it affects other people. Like, that speaks to me. Yes.
And so many people say, well, why didn't you make it? Why didn't you make it? Well, so making it is all political, or standing in the right place at the right time, because there is so much talent out there. I mean, I met people, women, especially in New York, that were unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable in things that I had heard, and I had been in a lot of places, and still never ever got off the ground.
Wow.
Well,
did you ever think about doing any of the, the TV shows like American Idol or The Voice or any of that?
When I was doing it, they weren't even out yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's where age comes in. I mean, it's like there was no such thing as those kind of places.
And so now in your adulthood, with the experiences that you've been through, has that ever come across your mind? That you maybe would be open to do that, or is that just not something you're really connected to?
But you never know. It could buzz around in there somewhere.
Yeah, very cool. Because it's not, when you have that natural talent, that's just who you are. You're just doing you. But it speaks to people. They will feel that connection and walk away with their own reality of what that particular music or song has activated within them. That's why those memories are so, yesteryear. Takes me right back to, that's the point.
What you have to do now. But what you have to do is you got to think about the future. Okay? Now, at my age, how much future is there? So it's like, hey, it's like if I go, but say I went on a show. Next year I went on the next whatever, and won. And got to, get together with a songwriter or whatever and do some stuff and put out an album and whole 9 yards. How long am I going to be around to support that album? Or physically be able to support it?
What if you were around enough just to create that?
To create, yeah, I mean, that's why I was asked to create this other piece of music. But I mean, it's still like, a long time ago, I could think of a song in give or take 2 or 3 seconds.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's where you get the idea from,
Yeah.
Today, I mean, I must have gone through 100 different ideas on that show, and still none of them felt good to me.
Notice how you say felt.
Yeah,
that feeling thing.
Said felt. Yeah, you have to. Every single song that I wrote, I would read through the words first. My drummer was an unbelievable lyricist. He was incredible. He had a book of like 400 things written, all prose and things like that. So I mean, we would turn it into a song, but you would have to feel something from this. That's where life, what's this, light another candle came from. It was the feeling of that song in a 100-degree car.
Oh, wow. Yep.
It was, there were things that make you write for the stupidest, craziest reasons, but it's some type of I would say, a universe force that kind of pushes you, that gives you that like, this is it. This is the one. This is the way it's supposed to be. I've even done songs that really satisfied me unbelievably. Then done a test on them, test recording on them, and then threw out the song.
Can I ask why?
Because the produced version of a song turned me off, as opposed to the feelings I had to do it in the first place.
So did you ever think about becoming a writer for music?
No,
Not
well,
necessarily having to.
we're all BMI, so we are, all our stuff is copyrighted, but it's one of these things that where people have to go into a place, and then they have to go into files, and they have to go into catalogs and find all these things. Yeah. So it's one of these crazy kind of things. But as far as I was concerned, as far as life and that is concerned, I'm as real as I can be, no matter how no matter how I am. This is me. I'm not going to act like somebody I'm not, but I'm going to be genuine. And if I am singing a song that I love you, and I'm looking at you, then I mean that the words mean you. Not that I want to be with you, but I love you. I love you doesn't mean you have to be with anybody. It just means that you're ultra, ultra, ultra respectful of that person. And thank every day that person is there smiling back. I mean, it's like this is the world we really do live in. There's another dimension somewhere. There's got to be, because this one right now
Right
is
here.
on it tilts.
Yeah, just turn that dial.
Mm.
That's going to be happening.
Well, but like you said, we're in all of them at the same time.
Yep. Exactly. What will we bring to the surface of consciousness and experience? Because it's that type that that's why I say a quantum road sign is, if you take this direction, this particular reality, here's most likely the outcome. You do it this way, here's most likely the outcome. And when they can see it's not the same thing on everything, I'm like, well, because it's not. If you approach it this way, the reaction will more than likely be this. And when they can put that stuff to the test, again, there's a lot of responsibility goes with what we do and the accuracy. And I share the fact that there are a lot of new people that will come to me, and I'll give them a potential psychic upcoming event, and they'll be like, yeah, right. I'm like, no, I could certainly be wrong, but I guess we'll see. They usually come back going, what else you got to say? Because I thought you were full of crap, right? And it all happened. Now, as I share, now anything and everything coming out my mouth to that person is the gospel, because they thought all that other stuff was a bunch of crap, and then it happened. That's where people see the magic and don't understand it. How do you do that? I'm sure. Here's what I'm doing. Here's how I read energy. That's all I can do. I do know that the more I know, the more I know. I don't know nothing, man, but I'll share my perspective. And when we can be brought together, and you have enough guts to become that inner space astronaut and discover who you truly are, which is everything, you are able to speak from the fullness of the heart and soul, no longer just the bottom of the heart and soul.
Mm.
Sounds like semantics playing on words, but the way we approach the universe, it approaches us.
God, I tell you something. It's having its own great time, I guess.
Yeah, and what value we're going to play and put upon it. That's the point.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, let's go with another thought here. How long would you think we have? Now, this is what I mean. Everybody's saying like it's the end of the world soon. It's like no. I keep saying no. I said you got it wrong. I said yes. There's the like Bible, and there's the Mexican circle thing, and a whole bunch of other kind of things that say the end of the world. But I said it's not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new world. And I said the new world is like the old world, just with a couple of tweaks on it.
And hopefully a more positive experience.
That's the tweak. The tweak is the positive attitude that the entire world has on each other. Everybody's here. They call it. A lot of people say that one world order is baloney. I said, one world order
It's
is
coming.
is totalitarian mental feelings for everybody. It's like there is only like three different levels of that. You got the guys that you can't see, then you got the government that's forced by the guys you can't see, then you got the government that tells the people that belong them, like, we own you. Then you have the new world. The new world works backwards. The new world goes, we own ourselves, and everybody says it. And that is what
genuine sincerity.
Right. So
Yes.
if it's the end of the world, it may be the end of this world as far as we know it. But the new world is going to be one where people are actually going to like each other. And I don't mean you have to really, really like somebody, but you can talk to somebody. You can get along with somebody. You can help someone. You can do everything from going over his house and saying, listen, you want me to cut your lawn? I mean, things like that. It's no big deal. I mean, I've done it myself, and I'm not exactly a kid rhyming around.
Yeah, but look, you still have that energy intent. You want to help others to help themselves. If you can do it, you'll do it. Why? Because you choose to, because you want to.
Well, don't forget, it's there. It's something I was
that
born
for
with.
everyone, right? That's the point.
We're all born with it. It's whether we really, really, really want to use it or not.
That's why I say it's the gift that few choose and everyone has. And if people can become a little bit more comfortable with those gut feelings and that psychic paradigm way of thinking of things, then it's a little bit more like, oh, so you're just oh, so in that quantum physics, everything's energy. Oh, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, what if that makes us eternal?
You think?
And, if they've only perceived that this universe has only been here 14.8 billion years, we may not be from this universe. I'll just share you the fact that we're not originally from this universe.
I mean, you're in Arizona, so you're probably going to see a lot more than I am. But then again, no, this is Florida, because, I mean, I went out the other day and it was like, I don't know, it was very, very late, early in the morning and things.
You're up early all the time, man.
Yeah, but I get Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral is like right here.
Wow.
Like you can see the missiles go. I mean, as long as it's dark out, it's great. It was dark out. Whoa. I mean, it's so cool. But, so many people now go, well, you're down over there and then you're getting all that rocket smoke in your lungs.
Is that different than when we were growing up in the car and there's just a little crack and they're like, yeah. We just thought, oh, I guess everyone does that. It's like, right. What will you accept as a reality and work from there?
It's okay. It's we're yelling about green this, green that, green the other thing. And again, that's another state of mind, only because we're the only country that turns around and does anything about it. Only one. All the rest of them ain't. They're all burning their coal. They're burning their things and everything else. And that they want to ban pizza ovens in New York.
Why?
Well, so many of them burn wood. They're wood stoves and everything else in these custom places. And let me see. There's some other restaurants too that use either coal or wood, and that to do meat and steaks and all this other kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. And now you can't. You're not supposed to anyway. Now they even want to ban gas stoves.
Wow.
I mean, seriously.
I've not heard of that. I'm just like, holy.
Oh, you're not listening to the news, man.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
I feel this way. If I'm going to go out and somebody's going to talk to me, and a lot of people, do talk news all the time, you got to know both sides of the coin. Diane freaks out because I'm looking at the left and I'm looking at the right, and I read the left and I read the right.
And then if you flip that perspective, The right is the left is the right. It's a very relative experience.
All you have to do is you got to say what logically makes sense. How can this help me? How can this help you? How can it help them?
Yes.
Can they do this? No? Well, then I'm going to go with that guy.
And be the catalyst of consciousness. To me, you're not making them do anything. I always share the fact playfully but genuinely, I'm lazy, man. It takes no more energy for me to send love and light to a person than to the all that is. How about everything, nothing, everywhere in between, and everywhere beyond? There we go. You didn't say I couldn't. Kind of like, the stairway to heaven is like, really? You can't make it an escalator? You sure about that? Say it's like, hey, put some rules and regs around it. Otherwise, I'm going to create my own.
I should have had my guitar players. Close to me somewhere. I would have started playing it.
Yeah, look at that. You're always on that music vibe, man. You're on that channel. That's beautiful.
It's very
It's just
free.
who you are.
People don't get it. People that are into music. I mean, really, really into music, like forever.
They are. Yeah.
How many years could you think? I mean, I'm into this for like 65 years.
Wow.
Playing and stuff.
Yeah. And why? Because you want it to. Because it connects with you, and you connect with others. And it's nice when we can use that as a catalyst of conscience, in this case for music, to give people a chance to saunter through their life experiences. That's that yesteryear. Plus, a lot of times people want to learn from your experience without necessarily having to go through it. That's what writing and the music is like, yeah, I don't want to have that stuff happen, but what did you do? How did it work for you?
You have no idea how many people ask me questions about my past. What was this like? What was it? Because these people today, my past is their history. What they're reading about and things they're reading about and things that happened in certain times and everything. I mean, let's face it, I was on an airport with my father when the first commercial passenger jets were actually in LaGuardia Airport. Wow. Jets. We used airplanes. My first band transfer, thing that we flew from my high school to another high school was in a prop Constellation. 4 big propellers on this thing.
Yeah.
Noisy. Oh, they were so
yeah, I bet.
Oh man, I'm telling you, you get off and you heard the engines for 3 days. But I mean, that was just the way it was. I mean, back then. And today, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to get on a jet, just fly out of here, And I go down with what I do, I go to the airport here, Linder International, all the time. And I know the people down there. I was on a jet the other day that looked like somebody's $1 billion guy's living room.
Nice.
That was the inside of this jet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the guy said to me, "Go ahead, Bob. Go up there. Go look. I mean, we're talking wood, shiny, like oak type of. Oh, forget about it. I mean, unbelievable.
At home, no matter where you go, there you are. Home is where the heart is.
Oh yeah, and this was just a guy that was just passing through.
But yet, look at the response that you gave him. Holy, this is something apparently that he's doing, and that's just who he is. But you got a chance to get a flavor of that to go, oh, that feels good. And more than likely.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I also said that a guy he's one of the flight managers over there. And then I said to him, can they do this in my living room?
They can. If you got the cash, man, that's the point.
I was like freaking out, It's crazy. They want me to come back there. One of the guys that wants me to come down there and go fly with him. He said, "You're so crazy." He said, "I want to see you fly."
So do it. Are you open for that? Is that something you're going to do?
I don't have my license anymore because I left it back in New Jersey, but you know what I mean?
Just to take a ride on that, man.
Flying a plane is like riding a bike. I mean, if you've done it enough, I did it enough. I went through all my landings and takeoffs, and we landed some of the places that I landed and took off at. Most people would lose. There'd be spots on the seats. I'm serious. There was one airport that were to land. You got to go straight down because it's on the side of a mountain.
Oh, shoot.
The other side is the side of a mountain, and in between that mountain and the runway is like trees, like a forest kind of deal. So when you're going down the, when you're taking off and you're going down the runway, you have to actually literally cross your fingers and pull up. Because God forbid, you don't do it correctly,
You're
could
done.
fall, and all of a sudden, poof.
Wow, crazy.
And when the same thing when you're landing. When you're landing, you're going down. I mean, straight over the mountain, down the thing, and then you have to straighten out to land at the same time. But you got to do it with class, because by the time you come down, you got to full flaps, and you got to like use air to like hold you up, kind of sort of, so that you can put the brakes on to go forward.
Wow.
Oh man.
I'm like, I don't understand all that. That's beautiful. I'm just riding it.
Thank God the guy that originally taught me, it was my original trainer, was a fighter pilot before he was a trainer. Very cool. He worked in Vietnam.
Wow.
And that's the kind of stuff that he did. I mean, he was the kind of guy that like to be flying somewhere and just to test you in a sense. He would take the piece on the throttle on the dashboard, push it into the dashboard and say, "You just lost your motor."
Oh.
And the motor be going padoop, 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 padoop. And here you are at like 5,000 feet. It goes going padoop, padoop, padoop. And you got to glide now. You have to glide, and then find a place to land.
With style.
So, and safety. I mean, it was like, what the kids in there grow up with now. Everything is technical and books and all this other kind of stuff that where, yeah, you do need the books. I mean, everybody learned them. But it was one of these things that where flying is fun.
I bet. And now from the libraries, we have the cell phones. We've got the entire library in the palm of our hands.
Yep.
Remember back in the day, our day was microfiche at the library. That was our computer back then. Holy stuff, man.
It's the same thing. And if you go into a computer room, we had IBM 360s.
Wow.
You know what a 360 is?
That's a big old school one.
Oh yeah, it's just all. It's
the size of the ceiling.
About 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
Two big tapes on the thing. In these things.
That's where they started. And then the refinement of knowledge, you start to create more technology.
A whole room of computers that I know of computers could fit in one laptop.
All of this potential is there. It's how long does it take you to connect with it and use it?
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
People to get in touch with you.
Hey, check me out at jamieclark.net. And I'm honored to be of service, as well as I love doing a lot of these scientific studies. We're putting the practicality to this spirituality stuff. And when people can learn to be able to, in their own way, whatever might feel good, if not, certainly don't, but be able to fit that spiritual stuff into their life without feeling like an outsider, like I can't say anything. I'm like, man, just do you. Be the genuine sincerity of who you are, and people will vibe with it. That's the point. You don't have to please everyone. Please yourself, and that'll help others. Well, they know it's okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can shake somebody's hand now. Nobody's gonna bite you. COVID is what was baloney, and they'd all know it, and they all say it now. Just like masks, they were baloney. They find it now.
I try to not get too challenged at the manipulation of humanity, even on the subconscious aspect. Because I always share the fact that I'm not a doctor or scientist, but I believe for a little while with that COVID thing, they were saying you must stay 6 feet apart. And it's like, there's something else known for being 6 feet under. Exactly. So in the back of people's souls, they're like, oh my God. That's why just a little bit had to.
Fear.
Fear's a big motivator and demotivator, depending on how they present it.
Exactly.
Yes, you got it. It's always good, brother.
Let me get it started here. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we do these shows all the time, every other Tuesday. It's up to you to come here to listen to us. It's also to you to go on to YouTube or Rumble and just put in Pyramid One Radio. Zap. You can get all of these shows. You know what? I don't charge a dime. Nobody charges a dime. You can download them all. You know how many shows are in there? Hey, you maroon. All you got to do is just download them and listen to them. There is something in every single show that will make you feel better, make you think a little harder, make you actually say, hey, he feels like I do. Amazing, huh?
Definitely. Just do you, man.
God bless y'all. Bob Charles.
Lots of love.